Hey everyone, thank you for joining us tonight for this latest edition of our live stream Musician Monday from the Musician Treatment Foundation. I'm Dr. Alton Barron. I'm an orthopedic shoulder, elbow, and hand surgeon. I'm the founder and director of the Musician Treatment Foundation, which is a nonprofit dedicated to providing free shoulder, elbow, and hand care for under and uninsured professional musicians. I'm here today with my dear friend Jonathan Horne, an amazingly talented guitarist who has had some tribulations with his hand. Good evening, Jonathan. How are you?
I'm really happy to be here and to see you.
Yeah, it's really nice to see you too. Thank you. And we're going to hear a lot more from Jonathan, both his talent, but also his words. And he's a very thoughtful guy as well. And I think it'll be very fruitful for us tonight. Let me just say that if you want to access any of our previous recordings or any additional information about our foundation, you can access that at mtfusa.org, our website, or our Facebook page, or our Instagram site. So any of that is a way to get to us, and you can reach me or anyone else about it. And for more information, if you know musicians in need who need our help, we'd be happy to provide that. We have, in 2.5 years of existence, we've provided over $1 million in free care to under and uninsured needful musicians, professional musicians who have been struggling with shoulder, elbow, and hand problems. And our motto is to keep the music playing, and we're trying desperately to do that, especially during these difficult times for everyone on the planet. But musicians are especially affected because they're not able to tour, not able to do the live streams that often pay all the bills, and it's a struggle. And we know that tens of millions of more people have lost health insurance. And we know that's an issue at baseline for many freelance professional musicians. So for many of these reasons, we are trying to support them, and we would love your support if you're interested. But we also just want your attention and to pay attention and listen to what Jonathan has to say, because he has a lot to say. He's a very, very wonderful guy. So with that, I'd like to say that Jonathan and I met because of a very significant hand injury that he had, and I will leave it at that. And Jonathan, you can tell us as much or little about that as you want, but tell us also about your background. I know you're obviously an extremely talented guitarist and songwriter and composer, but you also play other instruments and so forth. So just tell us a little bit about your musical history, and then what led us to come together.
Okay, thank you. I guess luckily the best thing about my studies in music is that I really like improvising. So that's helped me a lot through the journey of injuries and adapting to change. I'd say that's my fundamental interest in music and how improvising relates to every moment we have on this planet. I'm a self-taught guitar player. I started when I was 8 years old. I had a teacher who taught me how to figure out stuff off of records by ear. And I moved to Austin at the age of 20 to move with a random band, actually. We all moved from Kentucky. And your cousin Thor was one of the first people I'd met, eating a taco and talking about he told me to wear Converse All-Stars if I wanted to play a drum set, and that's how I met Thor. And so Austin was just really wonderful, just meeting the right people almost immediately. And in the 16 years I've lived in Austin, I tried to keep a steady diet of being in at least 5 groups at a time, with only 1 or 2 of the groups being like touring around the world. The rest are just Austin-based projects. All sorts of different types of music, but my main interests are kind of weirdo jazz and instrumental rock and bluegrass and modern minimalism, and so I tried to bring on all these different groups. Really helped with satisfying all those different interests and all the amazing personalities that are in the music scene in Austin, and all the experience that everybody has there to share with each other. So I was very busy until the injury was in November of 2017. Just finished making 2 records. Right before that, 2 weeks before the injury, I just had a tour of Europe and 10 different countries. Felt like I was at a new level of in my playing and improvising and phrasing. And I was actually kind of stunned how easily it came to me at that point.
Yeah.
Maybe the injury was kind of a lesson in that too. And then my tendon severed in my ring finger in my fretting hand. I'm left-handed. I play guitar right-handed. Unfortunately, it was the place I went to initially said that it was broken, so it went unattended before we met. But I remembered 2 days after the injury, I went and played a concert with a splint on the finger, just not using the finger. So I was just determined to make it.
So tell me, how did the actual avulsion, you avulsed a tendon, and how did that actually happen?
The finger just got pulled back in an extreme manner, and I thought it was broken. And it hurt, and I had a fear that it might affect my playing forever, but I didn't know the extent to which the injury was. Sure.
And it was how many weeks before I got to see you?
I believe it was right around a month.
Yeah. So that's really important, because there are certain injuries that can kind of hang out and be fine. You can fix them. There are certain types of ligament tears that I can fix, I don't know, 3 months later, 6 months later. There are others that are not so amenable to waiting. And the flexor tendons, the ones that curl the fingers, which you need so importantly to do your many and varied notes and so forth and chords, that when you pull that down, it is a long excursion. The muscle is a long excursion to be able to pull it down, and there's a big strong muscle that you have down in the forearm, and it pulls it way away, and then everything starts contracting, and the sheath, the gliding pathway that is there for the tendon, closes down and scars in, and everybody scars differently. But we know that we don't have that much time to wait for these injuries, and 4 weeks is already too long.
I'm so glad I met you, because I think a week after we met, you scheduled that surgery.
Yeah, we knew we had to do it, but look, it's been a struggle, and you've been amazing in terms of the way you've weathered it, and that's what I want to talk about a little bit. I mean, you've weathered it obviously physically. It's not, it's not your heart. Your heart's working fine. Your eyes are working fine, but your hands are what you need. You need to make beautiful music, and that immediately was shut down. At least from the way you've been playing and what you could do, and what were the early feelings you had about that, and then how did that evolve in terms of your headspace and psychologically?
Oh, wow. I would say the first few months were definitely just focused on recovery, and obviously, very common and intense physical therapy. It kind of became my second job, and I just focused on that. And then I guess my first surprise was how it affected the pinky, which was just part of the equation that I didn't consider, it being weakened so much. So I kind of just focused on my first two fingers, my middle finger, my index finger, and luckily they retained all the strength. And it's the fact that it's my dominant hand too. So I definitely missed chords, and I use really wide chord voicings because a few of the groups I'm in, I'm the only stringed instrument player. So I tried to play simultaneous parts and have big, large, wide chords.
Interesting.
But luckily, I have a lot of past experience with open tunings and alternate tunings and independent lines. There was enough there to where I was able to create something. And luckily, there were no tours in the near future. And luckily there were a few recording sessions. So
Yeah.
the experiences themselves and mentally was really stressful and difficult. But I gave it my best, and to have the opportunity to go back and listen to those recordings, coupled with the feedback of people I work with, made me realize that even though the mental process is a lot more challenging than it had been, the sound wasn't that different. And all the years I spent trying to put my personality into the way I play was there.
Yeah.
Even if it was a little more difficult feeling while I made the music.
Yeah, that's interesting. That's amazing. I mean, I remember having a lot of phone calls and meetings with you during this period. And one thing I was struck by is your really extraordinary ability to weather it, to weather it. I know this, having treated thousands of musicians. Everyone is not always in that kind of headspace. Everyone responds differently. We all respond differently to stress, but that's a massive amount of stress. And I know that you had to, you were feeling like you'd taken it to a whole nother level. You had that huge tour that was so successful and productive, and then suddenly it wasn't. And I know that you weathered it well. Yeah, you did a lot of recording during that time and so forth. But so did your fellow musicians, how did they respond to you in this injury? Did they just basically say, bring it on, whatever you've got? Were they very understanding, or did some people turn away from you and say, look, we've got to have somebody who's got all their digits and working properly? I mean, what did that feel like? I know you're in a loving, arena in Austin, but still.
Right. Well, I guess the only difficulty was the group that I wrote all my own guitar parts for, where it was just me and drums. That was really difficult, and I had to retire those songs. Some of them I still can barely play, but luckily nobody replaced me or gave up on me, and no concerts were canceled. I mean, there were rumors going around that I wasn't playing guitar anymore.
Yeah, boy.
I mean, all I can do is laugh at that and say, no, I'm just not playing every night like I used to, which is probably healthy for me anyways after doing that for 10 years, getting a little more sleep.
Right. No, of course. So I'm going to put in a plug. When I met you, I think you were working at Waterloo Records.
Yes.
And I had come in and bought some records from you, but John Kuntz is the owner, longtime owner, and another icon of Austin who was running Waterloo Records owned Waterloo Records for many years. But if I'm not mistaken, he has most, if not all, the people working there are also musicians, and he tries to support the musician community that way too, and he provides some level of health insurance, right? What is your impression about health insurance with regard to your fellow freelance musicians?
Oh gosh. Well, it's undervalued, unfortunately, by not by the musicians themselves, but just by most jobs don't offer what John has offered, and in terms of just providing that for all of his full-time employees. It would be a different situation. I mean, when something like that happened to me, I realized how important it was that I had it.
Yeah, that's right. That's exactly right. And yeah, I just wanted to throw that in because that's one of the big conundrums and why our foundation exists for that very reason. Because I think the numbers pre-COVID, the numbers were about 40% of freelance musicians, professional musicians, lack any or adequate health insurance, and that's a huge number. And it's difficult to accept that when we know how much non-musicians like me and the rest of the planet need so much and respond so much to music, and how important that is for our own wellness. and health and mental and even physical health. And so, what you do and the way you're able to keep going is pretty extraordinary, and that's testimony to, I think, your soul and your depth of feeling. And you had a lot of support people around. I know your family was very supportive, and friends. And let's see, I'm gonna take a break because we're getting some sort of feedback right now. Okay, we're back. Jonathan has headphones on now, so now he looks really official, as if he's going to be doing the recording studio. So actually, speaking of that, just to break us up so I don't have to hear myself talk too much, pick up your guitar and give us a little improv.
Ooh, nice.
Nice, bravo, thank you,
Thank
thank you. So I love the way you brought your little finger over to support your ring finger for a couple of those. That was pretty cool. Now let me ask you this about being left-handed. Do you think, given the amazing work, do you think there's a difference? What if you're left-handed? Did you have the option? Did you make the conscious choice to play right-handed, or what?
I was handed a right-handed guitar. It was in the attic, and I just started playing it that night. And then when I started trying to conscientiously develop a style, after learning licks off of recordings for 10 years, I realized that I had an idea, at least, and letting my quote-unquote dominant hand dominate the playing, with mostly polyrhythmic, being able to note notes without picking them, and then letting the right hand do alternate patterns and rhythms and things like that.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, so you were conscious of your left dominant hand remaining dominant in a certain way. That's cool.
Yes. Yeah.
That's cool. Okay, so let's see. So when you had the when you had your injury and you had to, what did it feel like? And this applies to people who aren't even musicians. When you have an injury that clearly alters your use patterns, that alters your brain chemistry. And what were you finding as you were trying to adapt your playing, and you had to let go of some of the things you were doing so freely, and you had to find new ways to make it sound cool, interesting, especially since you like improv and so forth. And so was that just something that you just had to see what it would do and let it go, and then just real time sort of improv, or?
Yeah, a lot of the recovery has been focused on trying to go back and tie up all the loose ends, so to speak, like trying to try and play everything that I used to play. And that was the focus for many months after each operation, and each step closer to reconstructing everything. But at a certain point, I thought, Well, I already did that. So what's the point in that? Why
Hmm.
spend all of my energy on that when I can just at a certain point I just decided I just needed to keep creating stuff, and I found, especially in the experience of the ensembles where I get to do the accompaniment with another chordal instrument, so there's that support.
Mm-hmm.
And when it's time to improvise melodies or solos, I found that the lack of familiar muscle memory has created melodic structures and patterns that I always wanted to do, but wasn't quite brave enough to do, to be
Hmm.
perfectly honest. And
Yeah.
actually kind of, there was some sort of unfamiliarity, but of patterns, but familiarity enough with the instrument after 29 years of playing at this point,
Yeah.
where I was able to create something new that I didn't think I could do before all this happened. So that's
Mm-hmm.
kind of my focus now, if that answers the question at all.
No, it absolutely does. It absolutely does. Yeah. So it allowed for you to kind of expand the way you were thinking rather than trying to work so hard at getting back to what you could do before. Just let it go and see, and it maybe open up new horizons that you wouldn't have otherwise tried because you had such a way already.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. Interesting.
Yep.
Hadn't thought about that. Well, we know that's you seem, very, very peaceful always and very at peace. And maybe that's been part of it because we know when we use our hands differently, that stimulates different parts of our somatosensory cortex,
Oh,
our
wow.
brain. And one thing I'll throw out that people, I think one of the reasons why I know that musicians have, like all of us have, a spectrum of feelings about the world, about themselves, and so forth. But one of the things we know, the reason making music is so good for our psychological well-being is that 60% of our higher cortical neurons, our somatosensory cortex, which is the part that grew when we started making tools as cavemen. 60% of all the neurons up there are devoted only to our hands. So
Wow.
it's so profoundly important to our brain health and therefore our wellness and our mental health.
Wow.
And to lose that, you are unique. I mean, there's a lot of people that I've treated and know and have even heard about who, when they lose that capacity to just produce the music that they want and need to produce, it can be devastating psychologically. And the fear of that can be devastating psychologically. And it fascinates me that all the way through this, you have fascinated me because you have been so centered and able to weather it. And you had a far more, and it's not completely over, but you had a far more arduous journey than most people who have a straightforward injury that's just able to be fixed and then go on about your business and get back to everything. And so I mean, I commend you for that. I mean, you're a special person. I knew that already, but it's very important, I think, that people understand that. And one reason I think is exactly what you explained, that you already you're big in the improv. You're big in just not, I mean, how would you define improv for you?
Using whatever thoughts and tools at my disposal to meet whatever is in front of me at the moment. It's like to me, it's problem solving, communication, but
Hmm.
also it's connected with considering the environment around you too. It's not just the act based on like a selfish decision.
Yeah.
So that's why I like the creation of music that way. It reminds me of how I want to live each moment. If I, unless even if something bad's happening, I feel like I have to improvise.
Right. Well, that's a good point. I mean, I love the idea what you said about solving a problem musically. I mean, that's cool. That whole idea is really cool to me. And yeah, because I mean, it's not a problem in the sense of having a flat tire, but it's a problem where what it feels like that you've got some musical constraint and you have to solve that problem. That's cool. Thank you. What would be where do you see now? Now, have you? I know you play and play around with some other instruments and play other instruments and so forth. Has that changed for you having a hand injury? Have you felt like you wanted to explore other instruments more, or is it just part of the way you've been and will continue to be?
It's definitely. I feel like I'm better at musical instruments I'm untrained on now. Just because how it's affected my playing on guitar, and the fact that I think about what I'm doing a little bit more before I do it, as opposed to
Mhm.
just being able to do it on the spur of the second.
Mhm.
So now, if I want to play a drum beat, it's actually a little more in time. Or if I want to
Mhm.
play the saxophone, I think a little bit more about playing the notes in perfect tuning.
Interesting.
Or
Interesting.
it's less just about being wiggly and going for it than like I'm thinking like two steps ahead now,
Yeah.
which is nice.
Yeah. That's interesting. That's a great observation. Um, what do you want to play for us now?
Oh my word! I should I'll just change the tuning real quick and make something up, I guess. Wow, I've never played in this tuning ever in my life, so that'll be fun. This is just for
Cool.
you.
Okay.
I hope my phone doesn't die. We'll see. Alrighty.
Nice. All right.
Thanks.
Thank you. All right. That was awesome.
Thank,
Thank you. I love
thank
that. I
you.
love that tuning. Yeah, that was really nice.
Cool.
Oh, let's see. So what would you let's now fast forward into the middle of this pandemic that we've got. Um, you know, gosh, I mean, I don't what do you think has been the effect of the pandemic? Let's take your hand away from it. Let's take your injury away from it. What has been your, a few of your most pointed or major observations during this time as a musician who's used to touring, who's used to the intensity of so much togetherness and performance, live performance? You do that constantly, or historically did that constantly. What has been your take on that?
Wow. Well, I'm really happy that all the people that I know in the scene and respect have all been really responsible and patient with it. Just not endangering other people's health and their health first and foremost, which is probably my favorite thing. On top of it all, I definitely I think it definitely on the other side brings to light the economic necessity of playing live and touring, just
Yeah.
because the music industry is just getting tougher and tougher every year for musicians. I mean, there's incredible record labels out there, and there's incredible managers out there, and there's incredible venues out there.
Mhm.
But I think at this point, the goal is just to break even when it comes to money.
Yeah.
Um, um, but thank goodness for technology, and people are making beautiful records right now. Nobody's in the same city,
Mhm.
and people are writing and practicing and taking on new endeavors. And
Mhm.
um, it, I guess I'm just trying to focus on staying healthy and taking care of people myself.
I mean, I can certainly see how it could creatively create new paradigms, new relationships, new transatlantic and cross-cultural and global relationships through this through the live streaming concept and how people can get together and make music and collaborate and so forth. I can see that, and so that maybe that's a silver lining to the horrors of losing almost all their income, all your income. I mean, that's really and what I am, I just sometimes lie awake at night thinking about is how many musicians just have to give up the ghost and just have to say, you know what, I'm gonna go back to my day job or another or go to another job. I just can't do this, and that's tragic because we need as much music as possible in the world, and I sure hope. And we've also lost venues, as you know.
Right.
The venues, the venues get taken over by big box whatever companies that are just moving in whatever their retail things are and so forth. And it's tragic there too, because these venues are iconic. They're important. They give everybody a sense of community and togetherness. And to lose those, even one, is tragic. And to lose 15 is devastating. And
sure is. It's hard. It's terrifying.
Yeah. Well, I know you and I will get together soon with Cousin Thor. And I wait to hear you guys make some music and be actually in the same room with you. I thank you so much for your time and your talent. And I know I'll see you soon and give you a big hug. That's the one big thing that's been hard for me is a lack of hugs these days.
Me too.
But let's at least we'll plan to get together soon, and I'd love for you to close us out with some music of your desire.
Oh, wow.
Cool. We'll see you soon.
Thank you. See you. I can't wait to see you.
Okay.
Another random tuning, I guess. I like this one. All right.
Bravo. All right. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for tuning in. Bye-bye.